Hello, Internet. Welcome to once again new episode, new week with Kopitiam Council here. Always with you, Haffisz and Adi Putera. And Adi, it's been it's 3 weeks since Trump become the president of America. What is the latest? I know it's very hard to catch up, even for some of us like us.
Almost every day there's something to catch up with, but I think we're going to be treading ground on a topic that we have been covering all the time. I think almost every other month we're covering this topic, and that is the latest development that is happening in Gaza. Now, why we say this is because Trump has announced a very drastic plan of action here, but then again, it's relatively speaking, everything he's been saying for the past few weeks has been a drastic plan of action with Greenland, with the tariffs, with now Gaza. Like it's having these all kinds of fantastical ideas here and there, trying to assert America interests both domestically and abroad. And Gaza is being one of them, selected to become the next, the Riviera of the Mediterranean, but having the people, the Palestinian Gazans, to be moved and relocated at the expense of neighboring Arab countries such as Jordan and Egypt. I think there was just a meeting concluded between Donald Trump and King Abdullah II of Jordan in the White House, saying that Jordan should be taking in all the people from Palestinians from Gaza, as somehow the Americans will just be swooping into Gaza and taking control of everything up to rebuilding and reconstruction. I was saying that the Gazans, okay, you all have to get out. You love your new place that we're going to be helping to fund, and while we rebuild everything, rebuilding for who? So I mean, this is panned all across the board here. We've seen it being condemned by not just leaders from the Muslim world, but you see leaders of the non-Muslim world also saying that this is insanity. Right? You even have North Korean state media saying that they're condemning this move here. This is crazy. This is absolutely absurd. I mean, it is the height of absurdity, and which has come to be expected and characteristic of Donald Trump's very blasé of policies, both domestic and abroad. So before we get, I want to get more into that. I'll let you go next, Haffiz, on what you think about.
Yeah, definitely. These two countries, Jordan and Egypt, was not even in the loop with this kind of what I call outlandish proposal by President Trump. Suddenly, I mean, when we saw King Abdullah with Trump in the same room, he looks very looks a man that looks very defeated. Even this is not his battle, but because Jordan, Adi, is one of the most resilient, most accepting of refugees in the Middle East. You name it, from Iraq, from Syria, and of course from Palestine. But of course, Jordan also have their own interests, so they cannot accept all this, especially the proposal of displacing 2 million of Gazan. So I think this is something not just well, you use the word more polite. I would say this is insane. It's not just very drastic. This is insane proposal, as insane as they want to take Panama Canal again, as insane as want to make Canada as their 51st state, as insane as want to annex Greenland. So I think what's going on in the bigger picture here, because this is not just about foreign policy for America, but also domestically speaking. As we know, Dodge has been doing a lot of data collecting and exposing day by day all this. One of the biggest victim is U.S. aid. Even though U.S. aid only account less than 1% of America's GDP, but they make such a huge deal out of it, I think, just to create chaos here and there. In Trump on Gaza on international front, and Elon Musk here on domestically speaking. So this is what they call, like, the real president is Musk, and then the puppet president is Donald Trump. As funny as it may sound, but I think there's a truth to it. As none of what Trump said, if you see so far, is something that we can take it seriously. But we know deep inside that he might be, really believing this. So that's the danger of the uncertainty of Trump, especially in the Middle East. Uh, Seeing this, and one player, Adi, that we need to mention when it comes to this, it's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was about to normalize ties with Israel before October the 7th, and now it becomes more and more isolated, because simply the proposal of making Gaza as Riviera of the Middle East, something Saudi Arabia cannot accept at all. So yeah, before we discuss further, these are that I just want to highlight. Reaction you mentioned about non-Muslim country as well, like Spain, France. Even Macron was saying this is insane. If you get a Frenchman saying that you're insane for something like this, you really are insane.
Yeah, I mean, so my idea of my way I look at it is that this is very like insane because of how drastic and just blasé and bulldozing kind. I mean, the bulldozers being brought in by Israel. I think it's just a nice metaphor for how Trump is just bulldozing his way to finding his idea of a solution towards the conflict that's happening between Israel and Palestine. So it's just asserting America. Okay, if let's say we entertain the idea that Trump is being pragmatic here, right? It's being pragmatic from a very ivory tower position where you cannot see the ground at all. You cannot look at ground level. You can't even see the faces of the people on the ground level. These are decisions he's making all the way thousands of miles away across an entire a sea and an ocean to decide that okay, this is what is best for the region here, right? But we have like other players in the region, such as Jordan and Egypt, who has been active in the process to make sure that the two-state solution is being actualized between both Israel and Palestine here. And they, like you said, being sidelined and not even like and being jostled around here and there to accept Palestinian displaced people in an act of what we can consider ethnic cleansing. It's essentially ethnic cleansing. You're removing a group of people so that you can project your own interests, you project your own will, and you project your own form of imperialism on a region that has nothing to do with you, other than the fact that you just owe some kind of loyalty to a country next door to it, right, which is Israel. So if in the level of pragmatism, right, I get the idea that you want to prosper Gaza, right, but it falls flat the moment that Trump says, okay, we have to move and relocate you out of it. Why not you have done the rebuilding and reconstruction together with the relevant authorities within Palestine, right? Or if you cannot work with Hamas, why don't you work with the PLO, right? Because that is what Egypt sort of proposed, saying that no, we don't want to take the Gazans because that is their homeland, and we do not want to disrupt the situation even further. Because Egypt historically has always had a issue with taking in Palestinian refugees. The same with Jordan, understandably so after Black September. But Jordan's still being gracious nonetheless, taking in so many regardless of what bad blood that has happened between Palestinian Arabs and Jordanians. Right, the same goes with Egypt. So now Egypt is coming here saying that okay, we cannot accept it, but we would like to see some kind of authority, transfer of authority to a government that's able to talk and to be able to represent the people in Gaza, right? And in that sense, allowing the reconstruction, rebuilding to happen with the supervision of, let's say, the U.S., but if the main government, if the Palestinian Gazan government being the main actor here to always to look through it, like, and then having people in Gaza help, being contracted to rebuild. The labor is there. These are things where you come and help and assist from the ground up. You rebuild it together with the people, and it doesn't have to be. If America feels like Trump thinks that, oh, why do we have to do everything? But no, you have all the UN agencies ready to go, ready to be deployed. You have the peacekeepers also to assist to make sure that the ceasefire is being upheld, that any kind of disarmament from, let's say, the Israeli side is ensured, so that in and on the ground coverage and on the ground transparency and accountability is being made. However, that is not going to happen because we know that things aren't so black and white. We see that Trump has his own interests. Netanyahu is definitely going to find all kinds of excuses to bypass this entire ceasefire. We've already seen that he was preparing to launch another wave of destructive, in his words, another wave of destructive attacks should the hostage demands not be met, which in Hamas has eventually uh, agreed to expedite. I think by this recording is done on a Thursday. On this week's Saturday, they will finally release a few more hostages after some pressure from the US and from Israel. So Hamas is already like playing ball here. They want to make sure that the ceasefire agreement is upheld. So there needs to be some more good faith from the American side, right? Rebuilding it might be it's like fancy promises of rebuilding. It's not enough. You're going to have to build confidence on the ground with people who have been affected and displaced and disenfranchised by the genocide that's happening, right? Because if you do not find a way to rehabilitate them through the atrocities that have been committed, you are just going to be letting an entire generation slip through the cracks, becoming more easily radicalized, and then this whole cycle is going to repeat over and over again.
I mean, two things that we can highlight, Adi, from this debacle of since Netanyahu went to the White House and meeting with Trump, is that number one is that it's in the words of Donald Trump himself. He said that Gaza is unsafe, Gaza is a demolition site, Gaza is a ruin. Gaza has been, the people of Gaza has been killed so many, over and over again. And the question which the media, I think, should ask him is that, Mr. Donald Trump, who actually are doing this? Because all that he's saying is that admitting the atrocity that Israeli committing to the Palestinian. Because there's so many deniers out there, especially like saying, the pro-Israel would say like, we are not responsible for this. It's Hamas doing. They're killing their own people. But here you are. Your president here saying that a lot of people, Gaza being killed, but by whom? Is it by the guy that's sitting next to you? Why don't you look him in the face and stop all this nonsense? And that's the so-called the first step to rebuilding Gaza. So that's one of the biggest irony during that press conference. Secondly, Eddie, is it shows that Israel is really serious about the idea of greater Israel. Anyone that spokespersons of Israel, anyone, one of the most infamous rabbi, I forgot his name, but he always go on Piers Morgan saying that no Israel or Jews believe the idea of the greater Israel. But what Netanyahu is doing here by taking over Gaza land isn't it that's leading up to that? Then you want to take up Jordan as well. You want to mess up some part of Egypt as well. So this is they are actually fulfilling their own prophecy, but they keep denying it. Now they cannot deny it because they literally asked Donald Trump to just take up the land like it's some real estate with the for sale, and here I'm gonna give you some money. There's not even an exchange, a transaction of anything. It's just okay. We guess you're gonna grab Gaza, that's it, and turn it into Rivera. This is a perfect saying in English language, saying that if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything you see is a nail. So Trump looking at Gaza here as a businessman, as a real estate tycoon. I mean, this guy is. Trump even failed to transform Atlantic City, let alone Gaza, which is far off from America. And America trying to save some money, do they have? Because according to United Nations, it requires $53 million to rebuild Gaza. Do Americans have the money? Do Elon Musk want to contribute some of his wealth? He certainly have that money, but would he give it that away to rebuild Gaza and make it a Riviera of the Middle East? Definitely not, right? So this nonsense proposal is not just illegitimate in terms of legality, but also in terms of the economic of it. So that's why this is an insane proposal, and I think Trump just doing this on purpose to make more chaos, so he in the end could return. Could you make a U-turn and say that okay, we're not gonna do this, we're gonna do something instead. So he would give something ridiculous first, and then his second proposal will be something actually ridiculous as well. But because we already heard his utmost nonsense, so the second one might be sound very, very mild. So yeah,
It's the art of the deal, isn't it? Right. That and he's been doing this for the past few
I mean,
executive
yeah.
orders. He said, "Yeah, okay, ban TikTok. Okay, but partway through, maybe we can work a deal, right? The
Hmm.
tariffs, right? Implement the tariffs. Oh, okay, maybe we can hold a pause on it, right?
Yeah.
So it could be the same. Like you said, it's you propose, you propose an offer that is just insane, ludicrous, like boggles the mind, right? Crazy. And then you lower it down to make it look like, oh, I'm actually being reasonable and meeting you halfway here, right? When in fact that the entire premise of it is not viable or not even sustainable, right? So could just be, we might say that, oh, he's crazy, right? He's delusional, he's senile. But is he also playing the businessman here? He's just, he's he knows how to haggle. He knows how to bargain. He knows how to get what he wants. That kind of thing. You can always. That's not a That's not beyond the realms of possibility, right? So, like I said, is that well, if you want the middle approach is that you engage with the Gazan Palestinians. You become a presence that is supposed to assist them in rebuilding their homeland, but you do not dictate what happens with them. You negotiate with the relevant authorities. If you want it to be Hamas, that's up to you. If you want it to be the PLO, I don't know how you're going to actualize that because, well, are you going to hold some kind of election in like a forced election in the Gaza Strip, like in the ruins, like having a voter count in like ruins of a bombed out a flat, those kinds of things, right? So it's like I said, it's unfeasible either way because the infrastructure is just not there to implement such a grand design. The most important part is that the violence there's a stop to the violence, and that there is a process where everyone is able to rebuild and then a pathway to reconciliation. But in a way, Trump here has set fire on the behinds of the other Arab countries, right? He, in a way, has inadvertently put the ball in the court of the Arab countries to take up responsibility. But that is an issue in itself because it assumes that the Arab countries have never played a role in this conflict only up till now when in fact they have. Egypt has always facilitated mediation processes for two-state solution. I think with Oslo, I know that was Norway. Oslo also did the same thing, and other countries did as well. And also with the ceasefire, Egypt helping out with facilitating ceasefire alongside Turkey. So these other countries, Arab countries, have been playing their role in ensuring that there's no continuation of violence. But Trump now saying that the attention is, in a way, it's putting the attention on them as well. It says, okay, well, if you're not guys not going to say anything worthwhile, then we're going to dictate the terms here. We're going to leave the responsibility up to you. Maybe we can help you here and there because we've been such good friends. We've given you so much money. It's only in kind that you do us a favor here, right? But it's not. It doesn't work that way. Jordan cannot accommodate so many refugees from Palestine, displaced peoples. Egypt definitely won't because for fear of security issues, which we covered I think about last year, and they have had. I mean, if it's founded security issue because of the risk of radicalization recruitment in Egypt in the Sinai, which poses a existential threat to the lawmakers in Egypt and to the population of Egypt. So, being fair to the other countries here, they also have their hands tied, with I think the exception of Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia seems to be in a way kind of like the what you call neither here nor there. They pay lip service to the plight of the Palestinians, but at the same time they are more than happy to work alongside as good allies with the Americans because they can act as a buffer against Iran. So, what is Saudi Arabia's role in all of this? They should be taking up a stance that maybe they can act as the intermediary and we have that ingress into Palestine and live up to the mandate that they claim to hold when it comes to upholding the sanctity of the Muslim community. That is their opportunity. But will they be wanting to do? I mean, it's great publicity, it's great PR for them all around. But will they be able to do that at the expense of potentially alienating their in a way secret relationship with Israel, or having it risk, or dare say having it risk be exposed? So that's it for me.
I mean, Adi, if in the last 18 months Saudi, Turkey, or Jordan did nothing to help the Palestine, I don't think the next 18 months they would do, anything also to help, because these countries are the allies of US. And I think no matter how bad it is, towards you, like people saying that, hey, Saudi Arabia should help, Turkey should help. These are the big brothers of the Middle East, should help more, rather than just pay lip service. But I think the United States still got them on their, on their paycheck. So just like why King Abdullah went to White House, because he needs to secure that funding, because Jordan needs that aid that coming in through US. Otherwise, how they gonna feed and facilitate all these refugees that they are hosting in Jordan? So King Abdullah, His Majesty King Abdullah, being a big man here, play a very long game, so that they can still at least secure, or shelter some of these refugees. If you cannot do all, why don't do some of them? All right. So I think that's it for this episode of Gaza relocation, an insane proposal by the American President Donald Trump. That's not going to be the last thing he said this week. That's something we can call insane. So there will be more, of course. We keep an eye on that and more towards it. And for second episode, we're going to go back to our domestic issue. What are we going to talk about, Adi, next episode?
Well, I think they're going to have to wait and find out. I mean, it's definitely a hot issue, something that also people are up in arms about. So if you are interested, please stay tuned for that.
All right. See you in the next episode.